Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse Knicks Syndicate pregame show. I always blow that for some reason. Always blow that intro part.
I struggle with it too at times.
Oh man, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, George. How's everything with you guys?
It's been an interesting 30-something hours.
Imagine.
Yeah. Good to have you back, Foxy.
Salute to you, salute to Quis, salute to the Knicks-Verse family, salute to the SV Nation, and as we say in the hood, mazel tov for blowing past that 5,000 milestone of subscribers. We're very proud of you.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you guys. I think us doing this pregame show has just helped expand the reach so much that it's created the ability to reach 5,000 subscribers. I don't think I would have reached it, at least not this quickly. I might have had to wait till another season or something. And Keith especially, thank you, man, for listening to all my bullshit complaining, throughout the year. I even at one point, JD and Keith both talked me off the ledge. I almost quit. And it wasn't for them. Actually, truthfully, it wasn't for them. I probably would have quit. So I really do appreciate that genuinely. And who knows? 5,000, 10,000. I mean, what did I predict? I said at some point we'll all hit. I said 25,000. I think.
Fingers crossed. I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's a very legitimate and achievable,
realistic goal.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to hit is 3 to 5.
That's a good one. Oh man. Well, we are in for an interesting show, guys. A very interesting show. We are going to talk about all the things, the positive things and some negative things that have been happening with the Knicks of late. Salute, shout out to the chat before we get going. Everybody, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to Sports Vibes TV and drop your comments. Any thoughts you get at any time, just drop your comments. We read them all. And we greatly appreciate them here. And shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for your support. It's been fabulous. The channel is just taken off. And Lex, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Great, incredible mod. Fantastic mod. Salute, George, Keith, and Fox. Salute to the chat and the mod squad. Congrats, 5K. Absolutely. It's been a great achievement. Really happy with it. And next week, going to have a little surprise. Next week, going to debut a song that a musical artist out here, who is also a New Yorker that lives in LA, a good friend of mine, who he just, he loves the channel. He's actually one of the inspirations for me actually starting the channel originally. He asked me to do a podcast with him like 5-6 years ago. I think I mentioned this before. Well, he has written a kick-ass song, a rap song that is called "Enter the Knicks-Verse," and it just talks about it's such a great song. I played the demo for Keith already.
Can't wait.
Final cut.
Yeah, it's fire.
Yeah, it's fire.
Definitely a fan of it.
So that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. So it'll be nice to end that towards the end of the year. And interestingly about him is he used to be a Nets fan, and now he's a Knicks fan.
That was
interesting.
You never mentioned that to me, Joe.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't know that until the other day. He's the first time he ever told me. I've known him for
I'm sure years. He keeps that a secret.
Oh yeah.
Well, exactly.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, is there anything in general before we jump into it that you'd like to discuss?
You want to give a shout out to the super chat?
Shout out. Oh. James E. Moore, thank you so much for the contribution. Really appreciate it. Is there a specific question you have for us or whatever? Just drop it in the chat and we'll address it. Today's the day. It's going to be kind of a free. We have some specific topics to talk about, but we can talk about whatever we want. But first of all, I'd like to hear just in general, Foxy, from you and Keith, because you guys didn't get to talk about the Bulls game. just quick take on it before we jump into the big stories. Foxy, throwing it to you.
I think that Quis and I on Sunday night that we touched on it, that going back to the what was it, at the Pistons game, maybe it was the Pistons game. Where was he hanging out at in the tunnel where he basically left the bench at 45 seconds, went to the tunnel.
That was Charlotte,
right, exactly. So he turned around, looked, and all the other guys were smiling and happy, like we're going to win this game. And he looked like somebody punched him in the stomach. And Sunday, I said to Quis, and RJ, was putting on for the camera, like, yo, we're happening, that this is just going to promote some bad behavior. And sure enough, we saw it. And it was a lot more than that last play, folks. If you see the charge that Burks took, all the guys quickly runs over to him. RJ runs over to him. Mitch runs over him. Randle walked up the court. You see IQ like licking him off, like, I'm not giving you the ball. And he's like putting his hands up like this. Play after play after play, he took off that game. So I think the real thing that I'm looking for tonight is whether it's we surveyed 100 people, but the starting lineup, that I think that with all the stuff that we've said this year about Tibbs and all the stuff we said about the front office, they have an opportunity late in the season to say, we learned our lesson. We're putting a line in the sand. And, whether they said in other things, hey, let's just say that sore quad's acting up, but bench him for the rest of the year. Don't play him again for the rest of the year. Go with the kids and just say we cannot, it's sending out a message that we can't tolerate that you're giving up on the team. And while the other kids are, you see IQ with the iPad, all of these wonderful leadership, all these wonderful visuals. And then we have Julius. They have to take him out of the picture. And then today, if he starts and Tibbs acts like nothing happened in the last game, we still have a problem, folks. Multiple problems.
Man, beautifully said. Beautifully said. That's true. There was a lot more. There were a lot more antics recently, all 3 games, than than the cameras have picked up on. Foxy, did you tweet? Who sent us the tweet? Was it?
I did. About yeah.
You want to read it?
Sure. Or if you have it handy, let's see.
Yeah, I have it handy here. I'll read it.
Beautiful.
I'll read it.
Thank you.
So Steve Popper tweeted this out. How long ago was this? Like about
within the hour.
Within the hour.
Yeah.
Thibodeau on the report that Randle asked for a trade after Monday's game. Quote, "Are you serious? Question mark. Are you serious? Question mark. Come on. You know I'm not going to respond to something like that anyway. Let's be real." And then Quis, you sent me this at Steve Popper. So he was incredulous that the question was asked, not the question itself. And that was joyless division.
Yeah.
It's a good,
like Jake LaMotta would say, you didn't answer the question.
I'll throw it to you now.
Interesting back and forth.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Randle specifically or the game
just
in
anything,
general?
Anything, the Bulls game mostly. Because I know you guys had the Sunday stream, so you already talked about everything leading up to that. But I was wondering if you had any feelings about the Bulls game.
Well, I was happy watching the Bulls game. It was a little bit frustrating seeing how Julius Randle stormed off the court after what I would say was a big win for the New York Knicks, where you saw, RJ play well, Mitchell Robinson play well, and we also saw Obi play well. I mean, you look at that game, the Bulls, for a lot of that, game, they played 4 players that were 6'6" and under. So I was kind of hoping that Julius Randle would have been able to feast in a game like that. But to start, he didn't. And throughout the entirety of the game, he really didn't play well. He wasn't really finding a shooting stroke. But Obi, on the other hand, he was able to take advantage of those lineups out there. And for him to do that, I think that was very important in his maturation process. Also, you look at him and the ability to knock down the threes. He was 3 of 6 in the game. He knocked down the 3. And even after the game, Billy Donovan mentioned how, those threes really shifted the momentum of that game. So to see Obi take those steps, I think that's extremely important. And even in the threes that he did miss, at least you were able to look at it and say, okay, I can see what was off. His body was a little bit off. He didn't line up or square
the
up
misses
right.
looked good and that's hasn't been the
Exactly.
case with Obi.
And the thing is, you need to see him in game action put those shots up, so at least you can correct those, as the season progresses and as his career progresses. And you can understand why some of those mechanics might go out the window, especially when he's excited, he's knocking down his three. So you can, talk to him, and those are learning moments right there. And when Obi's not getting a decent amount of minutes for us to work with, or not for us, but for the training staff to work with him and get him better so that he can be a bigger part of this team, then, it kind of just moves us to the point where we have to decide what's going to go on with Julius Randle, especially with the way he's acting. So with some of the news that's circulating, I think this is a good time for Obi to really start stepping up. So that way, the front office can look at the roster and say, all right, we have a player that can step into that spot in the lineup and seems like he's ready to take the workload.
Yeah, he does look. That's actually one of the slides. Is Obi ready for a life without Randle?
I think it's a lot more than Obi.
yeah. But we focus specifically on him. But yeah, it'll be awesome.
Another super chat.
Yeah, James E. Moore. He commented this. Congratulations on 5K. Thank you, brother. Keep pushing out knowledgeable content. My only question is, why do they talk to the fan base as if we lack basketball IQ? That's a great question. I will throw that to Foxy first.
I don't know. It's a lack of disrespect. It's happening. George has been fantastic all this year. He's spectacular on stats and all this. And he's proven in his, the videos along with Quis that, hey, Burks isn't he's been showing statistics that we have the same, analytics as they do, cleaning the glass and all these different things that we look at.
They even have better. They even have deeper ones.
Synergy. Yeah, I agree with you. So but the numbers don't lie. And then Tibbs in a press conference will look at us and say stuff like we're stupid, or say that we're nitpicking, that we don't watch games 2 or 3 times. But at the same time, the three of us in the Into the Knicks-Verse family and the SV Nation are watching and saying, oh my God, wait, pause, rewind. Did Randle really do that on a play? Oh my God, this is like so blatant. And you're like saying, okay, that's 1, that's 2, that's 5. Tibbs, are you kidding me? Are you not going to say something like, this is absolutely, as my brother Keith said, not my play, not the guy I'm guarding, not my problem, or something in that realm, that his
not
help.
My man, not my problem.
Not my man, not my problem. Thank you. That his on help defense or anything, he's just taking it off now. And basically it's like, I don't give a shit attitude on every play, not boxing out Caruso, and then looking like it was his, what? Yep. It's like it's out of control, man.
That part, I think that infuriates me the most. The look that he always has, as if like someone else's man.
His fault. Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's so bad all the way around. First, he's not taking responsibility, and he's throwing it on somebody else. He's shaming somebody else, and it's a teammate.
Yeah, or yelling at a ref while the game's going on. It's like, aren't you? Forget about getting a defense, Julius. That's all right. You've been doing it all year. We're used to it.
Yeah, man. Quis, how about you? Why do you think they treat the fans like we don't know, we don't know basketball?
I think it's like another form of elitism. They have the access, so they think because they have the access, they should be more knowledgeable about the game. Because since we don't have that inside information, since we don't necessarily have the behind the scenes access and things like that, we have to go through, jump through hoops and hurdles in order to get that information. And I think they kind of undervalue how passionate the fans are about their teams. And I think it's not even just, basketball or the Knicks in general. You look at, I'm a Giants fan. There was a moment last year where Jordan Renan was sort of coming at Giants content creators in the same fashion.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a problem all around sports. They just think because they're in those positions, they're getting paid, the millions and millions of dollars to do what they do, that they are entitled and that they just have, more access and they have more information than we do. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say I have the same level of knowledge or IQ, if you want to put it like that, but I'm still educated in the topic. You know, George, you're still educated in the topic. Foxy, you're still educated in the topic. The chat educated in the topic, so we can all have a dialogue about the game of basketball and things like that. So for me, I think it's just a form of elitism on their end.
Yeah, and we also have our eyesight. So besides the stats, the eyes don't lie, man.
Right. I still have the eyesight. Yes, it's going, but I still have it. Yes, we have eyesight. I think some of it is, and I think I touched on this before. Fibs comes from the 80s and 90s. There was no internet in the 80s when he first started, and the ability to watch games over and over and over again just didn't really exist with the ease we have now. We can scrub, go back and forth, we can isolate exact plays, and that's so it's easier for the layman to analyze games now than it used to be. So I just showed how out of touch he is with the modern world. That's what it showed to me. That and it is elitism as well. All of those aspects. James E. Moore, he added to his super chat. He said, "I'm sure Quis broke down the entire game of Randle's nonsense. I felt he missed those last 2 free throws on purpose. He gotta go. Ciao." All right. That would be
those
wild.
closing moments were kind of weird though, because it seemed like Burks was trying to force feed Randle.
He was. That's why. Yeah, it was 2 possessions that kind of got jammed up because of that.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on? And I think that's why, Foxy might mention sitting down to Julius Randle, because that's not conducive to a winning culture or winning environment.
No,
so
not at all. Not at all. It's not good for the kids to see that kind of stuff.
And you touched it on in the video. We touched on it privately as friends texting, but you touched it on your last video. His last basket was a pass. He should have. RJ was open. And
he should have passed RJ.
Yeah. So like one thing after the other, and it's like Tibbs yelling at him like, no, you're in the wrong position. So it's like I'm like screaming. I'm talking to my friend D and like saying, we're only have 7 games left, and you still don't know what position you should be on this set. Are you kidding me?
He knew where he was supposed to be.
Yeah, he
was to get the ball.
Yeah,
he's trying to position himself to stay involved in the play.
Yeah,
he instead of making the right play, he made the selfish play, and those 2 points, that only bucket that he made, actually looks more pathetic to me than if he had made the pass and gotten the assist on that play and say, wow, look, he's struggling today. He could have forced the issue, but instead he'd made the right play and pass it to RJ, get those.
The team came first, but no, he showed that the team did not come first.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, James E. Moore. That was awesome. Let's see. Any you guys want to shout out to the chat at all before we get going with the slides?
Yeah, I see my friend Janine V. She's a wonderful Knicks fan, supports us. She has her own channel where she reviews shows and stuff. So if you haven't, folks, check out. My good friend D is balling that I talk to every day. I call him Professor D because of his knowledge. Tamar Bowes. Hey, we surveyed 100 people, our field producer. Big task at hand. So I'll let you guys take a supple, but I just wanted to touch on those people that I love.
Awesome. Salute. How about you, Quis?
Yeah, give it a shout out as well. Gotta support our guy Lex holding it down as mod. Janine, like Foxy mentioned, Tamar Balls. Salute to you guys for tuning in.
Awesome. Yeah. Dwayne Dennis, salute. Shout out to you, brother. Janine B, everyone in the chat. Sincere to Genius. Let's see. Chili Most, 85. I like that name. Good name. Dunes Rocks. All right.
Annuity 25.
Annuity 25.
Yeah.
Oh, Annuity 25. Excellent.
And UBG, Ashley Inc. Yo.
And yes, I just saw we do have 100 in the chat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
Yes, hit that thumbs up button for us. Really appreciate it.
And don't forget to subscribe. 6,000's next.
Yes, 6,000's next. That would be awesome. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's get to the story of just basically it just exploded. And actually JD sent me this in via Twitter. He DM'd me and I didn't see it till like about a half hour 45 minutes later, and then it had already started picking up steam, and I started launching it doing something else. I couldn't really tackle this story early enough, but luckily Quis did. You tackled it. So what do you any more feelings and everything? Because I pretty much put out a 20-minute video on it. I blew my wad on that one. So I really put this slide up here because I wanted to hear Foxy give you an opportunity to discuss this in specifics, and Quis, if there was anything else you wanted to add, because I know you had to jump on the story early, and then you. So I'll go with Quis first.
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on it to start the stream. I mean, if it's true and Julius Randle is requesting a trade, I mean, I can understand. You know, he was out there on the court. He's hearing, "We want Obi chance. We want Obi chance." And I think you look at the coach and Tibbs. He didn't do him any favors, continuing to play Julius Randle in a game where he was struggling. And then we were kind of nervous too, because in that game, you know, Tibbs took Obi out and put Julius Randle in. So I think at that moment, we thought it might have been another moment in where, or similar to Alec Burks being put in when Quick was thriving and us ended up losing the game. So the fact that we were still able to pull it out, I think was great. But with Julius Randle, you saw in those last 3 minutes, he really didn't look like he was engaged. And, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with those chants. You know, he has chants when he's out there to chant RJ Barrett's name. And I think it's starting to get to him. And I mean, I know it's been a tough season, and you feel for the guy, knowing that he's probably going through a lot of things, having to deal with the fan base not being 100% on his side. But what are you going to expect when, you know, he pretty much made it a combative relationship when he went at the fans with the thumbs down and, you know, the STFU and things like that. So, you know, when you kind of dig that hole, you know, you have to deal with the consequences, and some of this vitriol that he's experiencing from the fans is due to that. And also, like I said to start, you know, Tibbs not really putting him in a position to succeed. We've been saying it time and time again. Tibbs has not been doing things in the best interest of his players, and I think continuing to play Julius Randle when he's not playing well and at least trying to get Obi some minutes in there, I think has played a part in this. And there have been some talks about him maybe dealing with an injury, which could contribute to some of the poor play we've been seeing from him lately. But I understand if you're hurt, but you should still be giving 100% of your effort out there. And if you are hurt and can't give 100% effort, then you should sit like he sat in those 3 games. So the fact that he's out there and he's playing, I have to assume he has the ability to give 100% effort. So when I'm seeing him not do that out there, it really, as a fan, kind of, you know, upsets you. So if he ran off the court after he chucked the ball and did request a trade, I hope the Knicks, you know, work with him and find him a place where he can, you know, flourish. And I just hope that it's a place where we only got to play them 2 times out the year, because I don't want to deal with Julius Randle having a chip on his shoulder, because we've seen when he doesn't like someone, he does still find a way to get up and you know, perform in the moment.
I could see him. Let's say we find a good trade partner this summer. I could see him having an incredible season next season. Just, you know, to give us, you know, the big to us as a fan base, you know, but then he'll revert back to what he is. But I could see him having a monster season on the first time he goes to another team. I could see that happening.
And George, just to add another thing, UBG is saying that Randle's selfish. I mean, you can't put it past him. I mean, maybe that's the reason he didn't want to sit out if he is really dealing with an injury. If you look at the game against the Suns when they had that little dust up, Julius Randle, he really didn't get too demonstrative with RJ Barrett. He did brush by him. He didn't get too demonstrative with Tom Thibodeau, but we did see him be a little bit demonstrative towards Obi Toppin. So maybe the reason he's out there and he's not necessarily 100%, like, you know, he's been dealing with that quad, etc., it's because he doesn't want Obi to usurp him as, you know, the starter at that spot. That's the only thing I can think of as to why, you know, he might still be out there if he's not 100%. But, you know, that's just me trying to understand why he's not looking the way he looked last season. I know we didn't expect him to go out there and shoot, you know, 40% from 3, but the Julius Randle we're seeing now, I think is a Julius Randle that is a little bit, you know, out of it and not performing to the best of his abilities, or even at 75% capability. So I'm just trying to understand why we see that version of Julius Randle.
I think everyone's wondering that. Everyone's confused by that. UBG put this in the chat. Randle is jealous, and then he wrote selfish. Very true. It feels like that. It feels like jealousy and selfishness. And if that is true, that there's no room for that in the team game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to be the main guy only, play tennis
or golf.
Yeah. Don't play a team sport. It's crazy. And so before, because I was just literally, I could feel myself starting to take off. I want to give the floor to Mr. Fox.
I'm going to get back again to Quis, that he came up with the great name, The Enabler. And again, it bothered me that he was showing all this bad behavior. He wasn't having a great game. And you take Obi out. And you know what? If Obi was gassed, and it was a good shot at that time when he was gassed, put in Taj. Make a statement.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, you know what? Obi could be getting a little gas right now, but don't bring back Julius.
It's like a parent that says, I'm gonna ground my kid for doing something bad, and then a half hour later, forget about it. You're not going to ever learn. The kid's never, from a discipline standpoint, you got to say, no, man, you did something wrong, and I'm not going to condone it. I'm not going to be complicit with this type of thing, and let everybody know, and let the kids know, like, yo, it's been a weird year, but at the end of the year, Tibbs is finding the light, and then he's doing the right thing. But him again, backing off and doing that, like Key said, God forbid they lost that game. It was like, yo, nothing's worse than us being New York boys. Nothing's worse than setting yourself up. And it was like Tibbs was setting himself up, if that didn't work out well, to really get all this crap. And for what? A guy that wasn't putting out, was having a bad game, was playing selfishly. It had every reason in the world to just say, he'll set you out the whole fourth quarter. You know what? I'll call Wayne Selden to put him in before I'd put you in. It's like.
Yeah, man. I think I'm going to not comment anymore on Randle at this time. I really wanted to hear what you guys thought. I already put a lot of feelings out there. I just hope that, that he really can learn from this, because despite everything, he's a dude, he's a human being, he's a family man. He obviously cares about being good. He cares about that. But he might have a lot of noise in his head. And I just hope he seeks the proper guidance and mentorship moving forward, whatever ends up happening with him. And let's move on to some happier topics for us.
Word.
The man, Deuce. I love me some Deuce McBride. Oh, man, he's rewarded us who have had faith in him by his recent play. And he could have been doing it all year long. That's the other annoying thing about this. New York Basketball tweeted this out. Knicks second rounder Deuce McBride leads all rookies in offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, assist to turnover ratio with a minimum of 35 games played. Deuce, Quis, what are we thinking? Are we thinking that Deuce might actually be a legitimate NBA rotation player, or could he be a starter in this league eventually?
I think he can definitely be a rotation player. I think in order for him to become a starter, we're going to need to see him, develop his handle a little bit more and be somewhat, more aggressive out there on the court. Now, he's aggressive in the G League. Maybe the reason he's not so aggressive is the fact that he has Tibbs as his coach, or maybe, he's still getting used to some of the athleticism he's dealing with in the NBA. But I think he could develop into a starter. Now, another stat to add is, the Knicks, we are 8-3 in games in which Deuce McBride plays over 15 minutes. And, there has been some reports that Evan Fournier, he'll be available, but we don't know how many minutes he'll be available to play. Hopefully we see Deuce hit that 15-minute threshold, because I think it bodes well for the Knicks. We're seeing Deuce and Quick as a backcourt tandem really, provide a fire for this Knicks, especially with that, second unit. So hopefully Deuce can get some minutes tonight and actually make, more of an impact. He played well in the small amount of time he was out there on the court against the Bulls. So hopefully he can get some more opportunities tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, that's true. That's right. I forgot to include your tweet. Actually, Quis tweeted out the Knicks are 8-3 in games Deuce plays more than 15 minutes. That's great. I mean, it's frustrating, obviously, for us, because we wanted him to be getting burned throughout the whole year. Obviously, he couldn't just jump in as day one and just start playing 25 minutes, but would have been nice. 10 minutes, and then eventually 15. And then 20. His defense alone is a reason enough for him to. He earns the time on the floor, as Thibs puts it, just from his defense. And his shot, I think, will come around. It'll definitely come around soon. I think it is a little bit of, like you were saying, Quis, Thibs looking over his shoulder. I think that's definitely a little bit of it that might be inhibiting him. And also, and the game is faster than the G League. The opponents are bigger. So you have to adjust. It's not like he can't do it. He just has to adjust. You need that extra, maybe 12, extra 1 foot space than you normally have. Maybe you need to step back a little further to get your shot off, things like that. But I see a lot of promise in Deuce McBride. I mean, Deuce McBride has basically lived up to everything I thought he would be when I first even saw any tape of him. And then when I put him on the radar for the Knicks, I said, this guy's a Thibs guy. He's perfect, blah, blah. And then we drafted him. And then, wow, so he's basically delivered. So that's my take on Deuce. Now I'm going to hand it to probably Deuce's number one fan, Stephen Fox.
I'm proud of that. A little over a year or so ago, very similar to a show that George and I did a few weeks ago, that a pre-draft show. Over a year or so ago, I said, folks, there's a kid from West Virginia that I really like named Deuce McBride. And I went over all his virtues. And, now all this time later, whether a couple of games ago, that gorgeous cross-court pass to RJ, whether that touch pass to Mitch, you're seeing him getting more comfortable, and you're seeing his things as a as a point guard or as a playmaker. And, that offensive game, like George said, it will come. You can't do it in the G League and then turn it off in the NBA. It's a lot what Keith said. I'm afraid to make a mistake, but I think every game he gets a lot more comfortable, but his defense is off the chart, phenomenal. So I absolutely see him in this league starting out as a second team guy, but only, as Keith said, his handles and a few other things is stopping him from going to the next level. But I had this really crazy epiphany, fellas, that happened this week. I'm all about signs. Last Sunday, after the show, Keith and I's show, I turned on a show that I've been watching on HBO called Winning Time, The Lakers Dynasty.
Love it. I've been telling Keith, you got to watch it.
But there was a scene.
I'm a binger, man. I got to wait.
There was a scene that changed everything for the season. And also, as an analyst and everything, all of us grow. And I'm older, so I'm kind of a traditionalist when it comes to a point guard and stuff. But there was a scene in this week's episode, or last week's episode, folks, where they get a brand new coach, a visionary, Jack McKinney from Portland. And he's changing up the host scheme of, they're taking up 22 seconds, 23 seconds. And
you're spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, but the whole thing.
Spoiler alert, Brian.
But the punchline, here's the punchline. He has Norm Nixon, he has Magic Johnson, and this is what hit me for us. That, so Magic looks at him and they're divvying up teams, and he goes, all right, we're going to play this one with both Magic and with Norm. And Magic looks at him and goes, who's going to play the point guard? And here's the punchline answer. McKinney says, whoever has the ball.
Yeah.
And it hit me like between the eyes. Like, now, I've been so rigid saying we have to have that point guard that with Deuce and IQ on the court, as long as they have playmaking skills, and now in this NBA now, whoever has the ball is our point guard. And so I'm not going to be so caught up on you have to have a Brunson, you have to have a traditional point guard. No, we have to have people that, if we look at the great teams or a lot of teams, they don't have that traditional point guard. Is Steph Curry a traditional point guard? As long as you move the ball and you have guys that are willing to be unselfish. So thank you to HBO for that. And I'm sorry that if I ruined the show for some people, but that scene about saying whoever has the ball hit me between the eyes, that I can't be so rigid that, we have an opportunity to have two point guards or two playmakers and who that play dynamite D. And one last thing, everybody talks about Deuce at 6'1" and 6'8", 6'1" with a 6'8" wingspan. Very seldom people ever talk about IQ that's 6'3" with a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
So these guys, 94 feet, they are a demon on defense. So I can't wait to see the future of these kids.
Randle's playing, guys. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, he is, huh? Oh, boy.
Yeah, the field reporter pulled up with the lineup. Thank you. We surveyed 100 people.
Oh, man.
So he's playing? Say that again?
Yeah, the starting five: Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson.
They get what they deserve then, because it's it's not a question of if, it's when he's going to pull this crap.
Facts.
Foxy, man, you're hilarious. They get what they deserve.
Man. All right. Are you there? Okay, my computer's acting a little wonky right now. Yeah, that's you guys, as just people who love basketball, should definitely watch that show, because it's more than just about the Lakers. It's about basketball, and it was a very pivotal time in the NBA, the association itself. It was a dying league. It was dying, but Jerry Buss, he was a visionary, a true visionary, a horn dog. Love him. But he was totally a visionary, and he saved the sport. Before then he created the ability for Magic to be what he is, and then Larry Bird and him and their rivalry, Celtics, Lakers, and then Michael came in. Dr. J had kind of started it, but it was not the right vibe for turning it into a real marketable entity. Excellent. And then there's the actual X's and O's. That was the most recent episode with Jack McKinney, who was a visionary, and he I'm not sure he invented the motion offense, but he's definitely credited with it for taking it to the level that it got to. He created Showtime, and yet people don't really realize that. They think it's Pat Riley.
And also Paul Westhead.
And Paul Westhead. Yeah, Paul Westhead was his assistant, and they were actually really good friends, or best friends or something, I think. But that moment is awesome, and I the way they dramatized it in the show, for have his biggest impact, and the way you explained it was perfect. But the reality is, Jack McKinney knew all along he was going to do that. I mean, he knew it all along. It's not like it wasn't an epiphany that came through. But it's cool.
I thought he had the epiphany in the phone booth, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's how they dramatized it, and maybe he did, But the way they played it out, like as if, I'm not going to ruin and say anything more, but. Definitely
check that show out.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible cast, fantastic cast, and I love it also because for me, it's when I first, as a kid, I went to high school out here in LA, and that's 1979, 78, 79. That's when that show happened. So that to me, I'm watching my LA when I was it was a decaying, kind of ugly city back then. It really took off years later, but anyway, we're talking too much about winning time. Well, we all love Deuce. I think that I think his handle is not as bad as I mean, we call it out, but it's not a bad handle. It's just
getting better.
It's getting much better. It's just for someone that doesn't have like the blinding speed, you need to have a really outstanding handle so that you can work your way through, get through seams, get around people, like we're seeing IQ do now. Like we're seeing IQ begin to do. So
I mean, IQ is pretty quick though. We don't give him enough credit for his athleticism.
IQ is quick.
And it seems like you said that his handles made him look quicker this year than last year.
Oh yeah, maybe it is the improved handle.
You know what? Let's get to Quickley. Is Quickley the future starting point guard for the New York Knicks? I tweeted this out yesterday. It was a small sample size, but it is eye-opening. Makes you wonder if coughing up 17 to 20 million per for Jalen Brunson is worth it for the Knicks when they could get this level of production and possibly better at point guard next season from Immanuel Quickley. Now we look at it here. This is the stats since the All-Star break. It's the per 36-minute stats. And I mean, Quick, and also one of the stats that Brunson has over Quick is the free throws, but Quickley's leading the whole league in free throws for the season. So we even know Quickley has that in his blue column. So they're, at least it looks like they're comparable, but I think Quickley might have a higher ceiling than Jalen Brunson. He's starting to show that to me. Foxy, what's your feeling about this idea? I mean, actually, we've talked about it, but if you can share it with everybody.
Yeah,
else.
I've been a huge Brunson fan, and as you can see the numbers, he's a blink away from 50, 40, 90, which is the standard. And also it's misleading when you're playing with a ball-dominant guy like Luka, you know, those type of things. But now with also Spencer Dinwiddie. But, yeah, but what I've seen in Quickley, what I've seen in Deuce, I said this on the show a while ago that the difference between Brunson and Deuce is Brunson's 25, Deuce is 21, and those 4 years are huge for him. So I said Jalen Brunson is Deuce at 6'1" with handles, but Jalen Brunson is not Deuce. So getting to IQ, I don't think Jalen has IQs on defense and stuff like that. So I agree. I have changed my mind and said, you know, that with IQ, with Deuce, and also I'm not forgetting our boy Rokas, that, you know what, I don't want to throw the money at Jalen. We have other monies in other areas, whether it's retaining Mitch or, you know, doing some other things. But no, you know what, let's go with what we have. And I'm not going to pay this guy $20 million for somebody. It's not going to, the delta between paying Brunson and keeping our kids, it's not enough for us to go for Brunson. In my point, at this point in time, I've seen their growth, and also my opinion of what their growth will be next year, because every year they're growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually, shot clock violation is a good comment here. He says Brunson can hit every shot on a court. That is true, and he's also a really good finisher.
Yeah,
very good around the rim.
Cleaning the glass, he's orange, folks, which means he's wonderful at finishing at the rim, wonderful at mid-range. He's about league average at 3. He's a professional point guard, but we don't need that because we see IQ with the iPad. He's a professional too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that IQ as a high volume 3-point shooter will shoot it better. Let's put it this way. If they both shot at a very high volume, 7, 8 a game, I think IQ would connect more frequently than Brunson would.
I agree.
It feels like that. I feel like IQ can be one of those special dudes that at maybe even next season, he can connect on 45% of his threes. Like, he has that ability. Now, what suppresses that is that sometimes, because he has the ball in his hands and the shot clock's winding down, he doesn't always get the cleanest looks because of shot clock and whatever's happening. So that does hurt your percentages. But I just think he's a pure shooter. He is a high volume shooter. He's electric. I think that and his defense, it's actually, I mean, from just the eye test, it looks better than Brunson's at the moment.
He's a sniper.
Yeah.
You know, I think the whole thing is him playing out of position, meaning he's a wonderful shooter. And when he's not, it's because he's not squaring up. The game is going to slow down for him. All this stuff, you know, going from shooting guard to point guard. So last year when he was shooting, Rose would penetrate, kick it out to him, and he was all squared up for those catch and shoots. Now he's dribbling and he's trying to shoot off the dribble, and his mechanics get thrown off. But you know what? They've come back, and like I said, by next year, I absolutely think he'll blow Brunson out of the water from three. Not even close.
Keith, what's your take on this whole thing? I know you're in my camp that you thought Quickley should have been the point guard for a while. But in terms of this scenario, like what I'm proposing, basically I'm proposing, let's not spend that money on a guy that's not going to be a piece on a championship contender point guard. And then since in the draft, we don't have any great options, and in free agency, we don't have any great options. Why not focus on making Quickley the starting point guard for next season?
You know me well, George. The first thing I was going to say is we're asking, should he be the future point guard? But he should be the point guard, the starting point guard present day. I don't know why we're still continuing to trot Alec Burks out there, but I think we should definitely try and go with a point guard trio of Quick, Deuce, and Derrick Rose if we're not able to move on from him in the offseason. I think that should be our focus, I think, for point guard, unless we're able to do something magical and get somebody that we can put as a starter in the draft, even though I don't think there's any one in the draft this season or that this year that can actually do that. So I think Quick would be the best option. You guys have mentioned he's taken some steps with his handle. His defense is much improved. Foxy already mentioned he's got the 6'10" wingspan. And one thing about Quick, you guys are talking about his 3-point shooting. It's not just the efficiency when he's on fire. It's the fact that he's making shots and he's bringing that type of energy to the team and helping them in crucial moments in that game. In games, we've seen times where the team can struggle, and Quick has found the ability to hit tough shots and try to revive this team, especially when we're going through some scoring drought. So I think Quick has to work on his vision, even though, can he really work on the vision? That's still up to debate. But one thing I like is he is showing better playmaking skills and finding his teammates when he has to make the read. So I think if Quick is the only option moving forward as the starting point guard next season, I think that would still be one of the best options we have available for the 2022-2023 season.
And by best option, I mean, because I kind of like positioned it that way as if like it's a fallback, but I mean, are you enthusiastic about him as an option?
Yeah, I'm enthusiastic
because I am. I phrased it in a way like,
I told you I want Quick starting right now. I don't understand why Alec Burks is the starter. We've got Quick. He's been great. We don't even need Burks to play point guard, period. Just have him play off ball and then have Deuce be the backup. I think that would be the best way to go. You can still stagger minutes so Quick and Deuce are on the floor together. But I think Quick in the starting lineup, you'd see a better version of RJ. You see a better version of Julius Randle, and you see a better version of Mitch Robinson. So why we continue to trot Alec Burks out, even though I got to give Burks some praise. He was on fire against the Bulls, and he was instrumental in us winning that game. But I think long-term, it makes more sense for us to start Quick at point guard as opposed to him just continuing to come off the bench.
And another thing I'm sorry. No, you please.
Especially if the coaching staff views Quick as a potential starting point guard. I think now would be the best time to actually give him those minutes and see what he can do.
Yeah, and another thing that won me over, not only a Quick, but with Deuce, is no turnovers. So to have all of those ability and not hurt a team by not being turnover prone says everything. So it's like he's not hurting the team. There's a lot of guys that are in that position. It's like, I'm learning the position, so I'm a little prone to turnovers. Not these kids at all.
Yeah, and the key word is learning. He's still learning it. And
That's
he's already having a positive impact, and he's going to get better. Yeah, it's tremendous. Speaking of Alec Burks, since the All-Star break, he's been shooting a lot better. For the season, he's at 39.5% from the 3-point line, which is out, really nice. It's an excellent number. Recently, though, he's at over 40, like about 43% from the 3-point line. So he's definitely come on. He was
pissing me off though to start the game because he was getting cooked.
Yeah.
Bulls were attacking him initially, and then he started lighting it up. So then you're like, okay, like same thing with Fournier. At times they're gonna get cooked on defense, but if they're lighting it up, then you can kind of live with them getting a little bit more minutes.
Absolutely.
And when I see Fournier on defense, I gotta light up.
So true. Adrian Reality comments, if we can't get Simons or Halliburton, we need to develop out great young talent. Our great young talent, I think is what he means. I agree. I definitely don't want to bring someone just to fill the role. I want someone who's going to be a piece. I mean, the future, we keep saying, oh, well, we have young players, we're developing towards the future, but the future's not that far away. It's 3 years from now. So we need to start bringing in pieces that we really think are going to develop into the roles that will take this team to that contending level. First, we have to become a contender before we can actually win a chip. And you can't really do that. I mean, if we can find like a great, like a 5-6 year player that has been stuck behind another great player in his position, maybe that might work, which is kind of like what people are saying Brunson is. Though I have doubts about spending that much money for him in general.
Exactly. When I envision a championship roster, I don't see Jalen Brunson making $20 million as one of the pieces. No,
I don't. That's perfectly said.
Especially when we have players we have to pay. Mitch has to get paid. RJ's up for a payday. We hope Cam is here long enough to get a payday and continue to grow with this squad. So we got a lot of decisions to make. And I don't think Brunson is going to make life easier for us, both in that decision-making process and also when it comes to our cap.
That's right. Hey, we've had over almost 150 in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us here, man. Hit that thumbs up button when you get the chance. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and subscribe to Sports Vibes TV as well. We alternate pregame shows, which is awesome. And Foxy and Steve and Foxy and Steven. I was going to call it Foxy and Quis. They have their excellent Sunday stream. That's what happened. The S
it sounded like a law firm,
right? Foxy and Stevens.
Have a poll? Call Fox and Steve.
Yeah, definitely check out that Sunday stream if you have not yet. It's excellent. It's a must watch for any Knicks fan or NBA fan, because you guys touch on NBA topics
around the league. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Adrian Reality says, pay Mitch. How do you replace his rebounding? Facts and rim protection. We saw the game where he missed. Teams were able to still get into the paint and have the ability to, or have open looks at the basket. And with Mitch, it's a different story. So I think Mitch is definitely an important cog on this team. And hopefully he gets, a reasonable contract and continues to be the starting center for this team.
Absolutely. I echo that.
I even saw him working on his post game as well. CP and Knicks Fan TV, they had like a little pregame event, and they're watching, and they were videotaping the shoot around, and we saw Mitch working on his post game and on his corner three. So hopefully that's an area of his game he's able to expand.
And he plans to unveil it in 2027.
We saw the hook shot. We saw the baby hook.
Yeah,
we saw the
that's
baby
true.
Hook. He's taking baby steps.
Yeah, all one of them.
Well, you're only allowed two, Foxy. You're only allowed two.
We are winding down here. Game is going to start in about 7 minutes, I believe. Here is the last slide that doesn't pertain to the actual pregame. Obi, ready for life without Randle? I know we all are.
Mm-hmm.
But is Obi ready? That's the main question. New York Basketball tweeted this out. Obi topping threes per game. Before the All-Star break, he was making a 0.4 makes on 1.7 attempts, 22.6%. But since the All-Star break, he's making 1 per game on 2.8 attempts for 35.3%. So he's made almost a 13% leap in efficiency in three-point shooting. And as you guys commented before, it looks good. Even his misses are starting to look good now. Where in the past it was like, what was that?
Yeah.
It was frightening. Honestly,
brutal.
It was brutal. And it just shows his ability to improve quickly. Not to use the name quick, but like within a season. That's encouraging.
Well, we've seen an
Foxy.
uptick in his minutes.
Yes, well, yeah, there you go. You went right for it. Why don't you go for it, Quis? Why don't you talk about?
Sorry, Foxy. I didn't know he was going to go to you.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No. Hey, we're one and the same.
But yeah, we're seeing him be more confident out there on the court. He's starting to get, the minutes. And when you're out there on the court, you're able to play. You're able to find a groove. And also, he has a good bond with Emmanuel Quickley. They spend time together in summer league, building their rapport out there on the court.
And it's genuine.
Yeah, and it's genuine. Also, his relationship with RJ. Those are two guys that have the ball in their hands and they look for him. They try to feed him and get him the ball in his spots on the court. And I think we're starting to see him, be embraced by this team. I think it was a little weird. You have Julius Randle here. He got drafted. And we're seeing the young guys start to grow together. And that is just shown out there on the court by the synergy we're seeing. We're seeing that they're all happy for each other. We saw before a game, Obi's hyping up RJ for getting crowd, chants. And, RJ could have sat there and bask in the glory, but no, we decided to pay it forward and say, no, Obi, you get your chance too. And also, you're one of the players that fans love your game and things like that. So to see that type of bond, I think is great. And to see him, kind of repay the minutes he's getting on the floor with good production is just exciting for a Knicks fan. There's been comments about whether or not Obi was the right pick. And, we don't have to get into that, but we do know that Obi is starting to produce and he's deserving of more minutes. So hopefully in games where Obi is playing well, Tibbs can start to give him, 26, 28, even 30 minutes in a game if he's out there balling. And that's what I want to see. Hopefully later on in this, throughout the later half of the season, we'll see, that actually happen.
Man, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Now you got to follow that up, Foxy.
It's easy. I'm just going to steal some more of Quis's greatness that he showed. Quis had this wonderful slide he created in last Sunday's show that he showed that on the games that he's out with the quad that Obi played. I think he was at 14, 8, and 3. And I said, you know what? Those are 3 baskets. We could disperse those 3 baskets to RJ and a couple other guys. Those couple of rebounds, Mitch or somebody else, and those assists. So you know what? We're a better team. The ball movement and everything. It doesn't die. It doesn't go in ISO. So you know what? I could absolutely live with those stats with Obi, but and getting rid of that negative energy and that ball. The ball dying once it hits his hand. So I just see more positive things with Obi. And how hard I've been on Obi, but geez, I see the effort. But if the numbers are there, man, and you see the team winning and the plus minus and everything else, hey, let's go for it. Got to get rid of Randle, man. Got to get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm already on record very early on about Obi preseason, and I'll never be able to forget it because JD never lets me.
What are friends for?
Yeah. I didn't know you were going to mention it.
I predict that Obi, if he were the starting point guard on an NBA team, he would average 20 and 10. And I think he'd do it pretty easily, is in my feeling. I think maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I think I could see maybe even like 2 seasons from now. I could see it happening because if you look at the way he scores, just compared to Randle, it's so much easier. He doesn't have to work as hard for the buckets, and then when his free throw shooting, he gets that locked down. He's going to get to the line a lot. If he can get that 3-point shot, if he can keep that 3-point shot at 35.3%, that's just good enough to open up that floor for him. You guys, we talked about this before, that baseline cut that he used to make around a defender had not been there until recently because defenders were sagging off him and daring him to shoot that 3. So there was less distance and easier for the defender to cover him and keep him away from that basket. So they were forcing him towards the middle. They were making him work harder, but now that he's shooting at 35% plus clip, it's opened up again for him. Those reverse dunks that we were seeing. Now, can he do it for his whole career? I Probably not, but I think he could have a year or two in a span of a 10-year career where he does average 20-10 on a decent team, on a good team. Now, could it be on a championship team? That I don't know. I'll have to see a lot more from that. But I do feel that about him, so I'm on record with that, and that's definitely something JD never lets me down on. Though lately he's softened it up a little bit on that, which is nice. Let's take this a couple.
But George, one thing you say, all we need is him to shoot 35. We don't even need that much. Brook Lopez and the Milwaukee Bucks, they won a championship, and people had to still step out and contest Lopez, and he only shot 34%. So as long as he's forcing players and forcing teams to respect it, he's going to be a valuable piece out there.
That's
on the
key.
court, especially against teams like the Bulls, where they're playing 4 guys that are 6'6" and under.
Word, perfectly said. Menno Fami asks, if you guys had your choice between trading for Spida, Zion, or SGA, who are you choosing? Just quick, you don't have to get into it because we're going to start the game. But Foxy,
None.
Quis,
I might go SGA.
He's
interesting.
really inefficient, man.
It might cost less though.
Interesting. Well, obviously, I posted a video today about it. Quis and we talked about it. Zion. If I had my choice between these, Zion for sure. And I won't go into it, but I just say I'll pick it because we wanted to move
Foxy,
on.
what about street clothes? Would you trade for street
Great
clothes?
question.
No, what I do is use our resources and trade up and get Ben Mathurin. And so between RJ, IQ, and Ben Mathurin, the game of Obi that we just touched on, because Mathurin's a phenomenal passer, RJ will get him. Yeah. Mitch, everything will change.
No more Mathurin talk. We can't alert anybody else about Mathurin.
Ixnay on the Wixnay.
Yeah. Ben.
He's got to be another steal.
Benedict. If I don't think he'll be there at 11 or 12.
No, I think he'll be there at 5. That's why I'm saying we'll be at 12. Send our 12. Send the next number 1. We have all these number 1s. We're not going to get a star. Pretty much, it'll be very difficult. Forget about free agency, but for trading, we're going to have to clean out the cupboard. Let's go all in and get this kid. And go from there, man. Get rid of Randle. Trade for Mathurin, and the future is ours.
Also,
there we go.
Balling.
You heard it. You got your list, Leon. I'll do it. You can just tweet Foxy. He'll follow up with you.
What my boy D is balling say, Keys?
He asked what Brook Lopez shot in the playoffs from 3, and Brook Lopez shot 32% from 3-point.
Yeah.
And they still had to respect it. So
it's a blink of their league average, man. A league average, I think, is 34.8. So,
yeah, the league average is it actually went down from last year. Last year, it was 36.7 was the league average. Mm-hmm. This year, it's at 35.1.
Okay. Went up. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of good shooters in the league right now. A lot of good shooters. Tail of the tape. The game has just started, so perfect timing. It's almost like we just did this because they played them just 3 games ago.
Yep.
So it would be nice to win tonight and extend the streak to 5. And the Hornets being 2 victims in that streak would be really nice, especially here at the Garden. I think, if we play with the same intensity that we've been playing lately, I think we're going to come away with another win, unless Randle punches a priest who's sitting in the front row.
I want to see how he responds after all the news that was circulating yesterday.
Yeah. We're already down 4-0.
I hope what?
I always love him. Like every time he goes, what? Yeah, man.
Really? Knicks, you're down 4-0 already?
Yeah. Knicks are 6
for the Hornets.
Yeah.
Tricky Nikki says into the Knicks-Verse, George, you forgot to dye that beard.
Did you promise to dye your beard when you get to 5K?
I did not, but maybe I will.
You got to do it for 10. You got to do it for 10 if you don't do it now.
I'm going to tone it down for sure. Got to do it for my Tinder profile.
Oh, you look distinguished.
Well, one thing though, in this game, Hayward's playing. So let's see if that makes a difference.
Oh, that does make a big.
They're 7-2 over their last 9 games, and let's see. It's going to be a great test because they have to be a little cranky about the last game that they lost to us.
Yeah.
And wait, did they?
And they're in the midst of a playing battle too.
They lost to Denver, but that was the second half of a back-to-back. They did beat the Nets. They beat the Jazz.
Wow, 7-1 now.
They lost to us. They beat the Pelicans. So they beat 3 playoff-ish teams and lost to us and Denver's playoff team. Yeah, they're a good team. They're tough, but I think if we keep playing with the same intensity, especially at the Garden, and who knows? Look, Randle hit a 3-point shot, guys.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Wow. The last 2 weeks of this season, it's going to be much more interesting than I thought it was. Like about 2 weeks ago, when that news broke out about Thibs remaining with the team beyond this season, it definitely was a major buzzkill. And I could see it throughout the whole fan base. I could see it throughout traffic on Twitter and traffic on YouTube in general. The mood had been kind of broken by that news. So I think we've healed from that. We've repaired from that. I think we feel a little bit more re-energized, especially by the play of the young guys. And it's a soap opera with these Knicks and Randle. So who knows what's going to happen next? And
God, please let Quentin Grimes' knee get okay by next season. Let that not as Quis has scared the shit out of me. That is a recurring injury. God, please let that be a recurring injury for him, please.
It is recurring injury. But it's not necessarily. I mean, it depends on how bad the original one was. So,
well, it didn't need surgery. At least they thought
that would be.
Yeah,
that would kill a whole year.
But now he's still feeling pain though, even after the pain died down. So you have to figure out why he's still feeling some discomfort. And as you start to dig deeper and deeper, you might find some things that you didn't know were there initially. So
another MRI showed that we're gonna have to probably go in and touch up that tendon or that ligament or
it's like a pitcher in an elbow. I don't want you digging in there.
Yeah. Let's hope. Fingers crossed for Quentin. I love his style, his game. I didn't put him on any of the slides just because he is injured right now. And
he needs his knees. Hustle is a big part of his game.
Absolutely. My God, that's how he got on the court.
That's how he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But remember, he had been kind of favoring that knee. I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5.
We were talking behind the scenes. Remember one game I said, "Hey, they just put tape on," and like a couple plays later, he ripped it off.
Yeah,
it's like it looked like
before that.
Yeah,
that was like looked like an actual injury. But then there was before that. It was another. So it's been coming on, this knee issue. Maybe he came back a little too early, but he sat out 3 weeks. So I think let's just fingers crossed. It's hard to know. I don't know. Let's hope that he will be okay.
Yeah, we're not doctors. We can only guess and assume.
Exactly. But maybe, Quis, you could do a video about that knee. Yeah, that would be. I would love to see it. I would love to see that. All right, guys. Well, 5,000 subscribers.
Yippee!
Thank you guys so much. Thank you to JD.
Yeah,
awesome.
Roadcaster in the house. Yeah,
that's
my guy. Yeah, you're unbelievable.
Beautiful. All right, well, let's enjoy this game. The Knicks are now up 16-11.
Yeah, they came back.
Oh, did they?
A 3-point shot. Yep. Yes, they did. I'm telling you.
Awesome.
Well, it's not getting into it. Even RJ's hitting his buckets. That's the one thing. One thing I actually did want to talk about was, RJ, you have to become efficient now. You've done the other thing. You're able to create gravity. You're getting double teamed, so it's a little different for you, but you have to become the efficient RJ. That's where that superstar level for you will be. And I believe that you can be.
And he's got to hit a midi more. He had his shot blocked 86 times last year. He's had his shot blocked 90 times this year in 7 less games.
Yeah.
So come on, kid. Midi. Yeah, don't go into the land of the giants. You don't have them that lift to do that.
Absolutely. All right, I'll be curious to see when the first subbing will be in the
It's
first
made.
quarter today.
3
We know
minutes and
Mitch will probably
25
be the
seconds.
first one to sit.
Mitch will be the first one to say.
He is.
Yeah,
You're right. Usually around, he plays around a 6-minute stint, and then comes Sims in lately.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, very lately. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thibs
so
has
5
been,
and change, he
subbing-
goes out, and then Sims has come in.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Tricky Nicky is hilarious.
Yeah.
He said, Keith, dye your beard gray and Steven grow one.
Yeah, we the 3 gray beards.
We'll look like a cough
That would be
drop box.
That's hilarious. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching us. My name is George, Stephen Fox, Quis of Sports Vibes TV. We've enjoyed doing this pregame show for you guys, and thank you for your comments in the chat. They've been excellent questions. There were some questions in there that I saw. Don't worry. There might be topics for new shows. So thanks for that. Please tune in again, and we will see you around.